Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? I'm here with my teammate Danny for another video.
What's up, guys?
So, since I'm doing some traveling before the holidays, I'm here in Danny's home state of Massachusetts, and whenever I can do videos with my teammates, it's always a really cool and fun thing. And what I did the other day was I posted a community post where you guys could ask questions for us to answer in a Q&A. So, this will actually be the last video before Christmas, so I want to wish you guys all a happy holidays. But yeah, we're here to answer some questions. So, Danny, why don't you pull up the first question?
Yeah.
All right, Cedric asks, sorry if feeling burnt out, but I guess my question is, what would you like to see for future characters in the game? Also, what design philosophy would you like to see throughout the block? And then he gives an example of like what he would like to see in future blocks. So for characters, I mean, I'd like to see Tarble, which I think is the name of Vegeta's brother. He's kind of like a really minor character, but if they were to expand upon him and like surviving Saiyans out there, that'd be really cool. And also Shallot from I think he's from one of the Budokai Tenkaichi games. He's kind of like another minor character, but another cool one to see nonetheless.
Yeah. We need the farmer with the shotgun, Mr. Popo, and then Tiencha. Come on now.
I couldn't even imagine what a Mr. Popo leader would do. Like, I feel like it'd be green because I think the only Popo cards right now are green, but I could be wrong.
That's true.
All right, then for design philosophy, it's kind of weird because you can never please everyone. That's what you got to keep in mind when it comes to like designing a game. So nowadays we've been in a very archetype heavy focused kind of metagame, whereas back in the day in early Dragon Ball, there's a lot of just good stuff deck, and we kind of saw good stuff deck come back with Crimson, right? And a lot of people don't like that because some of the stuff is too powerful, and I agree to an extent, but it is way more fun as a competitive player to build more creative decks out of cards that aren't necessarily laid out for you by the developers. So I kind of just hope they come to a happy medium of like, in set 20, like red and black will have archetypes, and then green, blue, and yellow will have generic cards, and they kind of switch it throughout each set, if that makes sense. But what do you think, Danny?
Yeah, I am way against heavy archetypes. I think small archetype packages, like maybe like a 15, 20 card max, and then allow for generic cards to go with them I think that's the best way to do it.
I like that a lot too. Like Trunks Vegeta is like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yellow Kid Goku is kind of like that. So I do like that as well. Like a leader that has some stuff that you need for it, but then you can kind of customize with like maybe 20 more slots. That's really cool.
Yeah. Crimson as a too small of a package.
Yeah, a little bit too small. It's like
but
4 vanillas and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, if it had a little bigger package, and we saw that still have interesting deck building, right? Especially at Nats.
Yep.
So we'll jump to the next question then.
All right, Russell asks, do we as a community feel like blue is overtuned with its recent multiple national win results, or is it simply a response to red's former dominance? And if so, how do we go about changing that? I would say giving green and black some fresh meta archetypes could change things up, but I want to know your thoughts. Does anything in blue or red still need addressing in Zenkai 3? Definitely a loaded question, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. I think, red from set 18, which is way too strong, and we mostly saw it in Zenkai Cups where it's a bit more of a limited format. But even then, like red in set 18, I personally think just destroyed every single blue deck. Even SS3, I don't know how SS3 managed to win 2 American Regionals, just being blatantly honest. I think that matchup is super free for pre-ban list red. Now, post-ban list, like red got a bit weaker, namely with like the Broly Crown errata. But blue is just like the other main color, right? Yellow, green, and black are kind of struggling. I think there's a lot to do with like the imbalance of the Z deck. Like red and blue just easily have the best Z deck. They also have the best means of making Z energy. For some reason in set 18, all the decks were able to make Z energy pretty well, but obviously the decks weren't as strong as Gogeta and Sin. So I would like to see more ways for these other colors to make Z energy without going completely minus. That's my thought on it, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many interesting cards we've been playing the Z deck. SS3 actually fell out of favor at Nats,
Yep.
really. With red getting hit, so pretty surprising. But yeah, I think green still has a chance. Like Crimson specifically. Well, first off, red kind of like gatekeeps most decks, right?
Yeah.
Like even if you bring a deck that's good against Crimson, you have to survive through the red,
Right.
And I think to your answer to the question overall, it's a little bit of both, right? Blue is very strong, has some crazy strong pieces, Area Annihilator being the big ones. And it's really good against red.
Yeah, and also, we actually talked about this as a whole team the other day. I kind of hope they don't power creep the entire game. I'd rather them just bring down red and blue a bit. Probably more so red, I guess, but bring those down and then bring the other colors up a little bit instead of bringing the other colors all the way up and then making the game like too powerful. That would probably be the best way to do it.
Yeah, we saw Green Cooler get second in Australia, right?
Yep.
So and I know Marcus mentioned the player made great adjustments for the matchup that gave him an advantage.
Yeah, so green's cool to explore, but got to try out that red matchup.
All right, next question.
What is your thoughts of Dragon Ball Super having dual cards, such as one part of the card can be a battle card and the second part's an extra card, or even two battle cards in one? A few other TCGs implemented this. Would love to know your thoughts. So I really don't know like anything about this. I'm gonna actually bounce this to Danny because this has to do with a little bit more like Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, in Magic, I'm guessing that's what you're talking about. Cards like maybe like extra cards or spells that do like two separate spells in one card, and you can activate either one. I think it's really cool. But uh, you want to mention Dragon Ball does have cards like that.
Yeah, when I first read this question, I kind of felt like we already have cards like this, like Concentrated Destruction Goku. It's just like you could play it, you can board wipe, or you can just discard it, pay 2, and -25 a barrier guy. So I feel like that's already a version of what you're talking about. If it was like an extra card that was also a battle card, I feel like it would just be a battle card. Like the downside of extra cards, you can't combo with them, and they don't give you a body, right? If it were to do those things, then it would just be a battle card. So I don't know how it would work in Dragon Ball, but it's an interesting idea for sure.
I mean, I just thought about it too. Dirty Burst is technically that, right? It's a negate or it's a counterplay.
Right, it serves two functions
So
in one card. Yeah,
it's not as obvious as like literally a sideways card with like two cards in it.
Right.
But we do kind of have that already.
Yeah,
So.
and thank you for the kind words as well, man. I appreciate that.
Sure.
All right, we have top 3 cards Bandai can take off the ban list or modify to limit 1 for next season. All right, so we were thinking about this a bit before we started the video. I generally think everything on there should stay on there. If anything, take the cards that are limited to 1 and just ban them outright. But common ones people talk about are like Bardock the Progenitor. I think that card could easily become broken again because it's an instant Self-Awakener. So my thought is like Golden Frieza. If you had that card and Successor of Hope, just search it out, have 8 copies in your deck, and then instantly Self-Awaken. You wouldn't have to play Roshi anymore, which is a way worse version of the card. Cell 3 is another one. Like, sure, it's not as great in current Dragon Ball because there are more options to counterplay it, but like, realistically, what colors are stopping it? You have blue with God Sealing. Yellow doesn't really have any cold bloodlust types of effects outside of very niche things. And then green mirrors, you could Charismatic Villain. Like, cool, green mirrors just become toxic. But like, that's not a fun strategy. Cell Chain's not a fun strategy. And I know people will say, well, there's these other things in the game that aren't fun. But the answer to that is not to introduce more unfun things, in my opinion. But
yeah, I could agree for the most part. Most of the cards deserve to be on the ban list. We actually took a look at the ban list and double checked. Like, most of these cards are really broken. I think the limit ones, I hate it personally. And the Bardock the Pro, I think it could come back. Be some sweet strategies.
oh my gosh,
Scrambling Assault is a fair card.
yeah, it's fair when you play it for 2. The other thing though, I said this back then and I'll say it again. If Bandai was going to hit Zamasu Eliminator and Violent Rush Bojack, they should have only hit one and not both because Blue Yellow just instantly became trash. So yeah, give me Violent Rush Bojack back. That'd be awesome.
All right, next question.
All right, what's the state of DBS with the release of One Piece? Is DBS taking over? So this is a pretty hot topic question, especially because my last 2 videos were One Piece videos. Am I turning into a One Piece channel? No, absolutely not. Dragon Ball is definitely going to remain my main game. I've been having fun with One Piece though. Me and Danny have been playing since I've been here all week. It is pretty fun just to like get a refresher from Dragon Ball, especially after buckling down and like prepping for Nats so hard. Like One Piece has been a nice refresher. But the thing I think that Bandai's done well with Digimon and One Piece is they've made them a lot more appealing to casual players because they're a lot less complicated. DBS is like the perfect competitive game because the game is super consistent and yeah, mostly because it's super consistent. Like every strategy is going to be able to do its thing every game. So it really comes down to player skill. Like One Piece and Digimon are not as consistent and they're less complicated. So they're better for casual players, which is why you might see like tons of One Piece players at your locals and not so much for Dragon Ball. I do think digital client is going to help that a lot, but I mean, time will tell on that.
Yeah, I agree. Like DBS is definitely very, very complicated. I almost feel bad for people like someone new coming into the game. Hopefully, I'm not sure what they could do to make it easier, but we both do love Dragon Ball for sure. And I think set 1 of card games is always interesting.
For sure. I mean, like One Piece is surely going to get more complicated. Like I don't know where Digimon's at really. Like I followed it up to like set 5, I think it was, or something like that. But I'm sure it's more complicated now than it was in the beginning. So I mean, card games are just going to constantly evolve. And one thing that people thought of that I hope isn't true, but this online client for Dragon Ball could be like a Duel Links, where it's like a dumbed down version of Dragon Ball. I kind of hope it's not like that, but it could be, and that could be a way to get people into the game.
Yeah. Nah, I don't know what you're gonna do. You play Dragon Ball until another Digimon card game comes out or something.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an insider for any of my really old fans of the channel. What are the best budget decks this season? Me and my friends are getting short on money, so having some budget tips would be much appreciated. So, me personally, I don't think this comes down to a deck choice thing. I think this comes down to an SCR choice thing. I think Dragon Ball Super is extremely affordable outside of SCRs. So, my main advice would be pick up copies of Harrowin's Lineage. That is like the budget SCR for any deck. Literally, any deck can play it. But the other cool thing, too, is now Baby Hatch has been reprinted. So, if you want to play blue, which is known to be a bit pricier, you can play a $20 SCR that ends your opponent's turn. So that's really good too. I would say, so that'd be my main advice. Play whatever deck you want because odds are it's probably not too expensive. And then just, kind of make a concession on your SCR choice. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like most of the min rarity cards aren't too bad. It's really starts off with the SCRs. So,
Yeah.
So we'll jump to the next question.
Scholar with a Sword. What are your thoughts on Red Blue Cooler Mill? My local has about 7 different decks floating around, and Red Blue Cooler always wrecks. I saw it wreck Goku U7 before Banlist, Gamma, Red Sin, and some other color rogues. My Finn deck has never lost to it, however. Well, congratulations on that. But Danny actually has some expertise with this because he commentated Nationals and saw one of our friends, Trey Faircloth, play the deck. So, yeah, what'd you pick up from him playing?
Yeah, I think he actually did like decently well. He's pretty close to the topping.
I think he finished X3.
Yeah, he's close. So I think it's like 1.5 if I had to put it on a tier. It definitely has some strengths. But like you could definitely adjust your play, right, to just not get milled out as much. And maybe you can counterplay some of the coolers, but you do kind of like see their strategy coming, like with the how many Beerus's they've used and then how many they can like arrival.
Yeah, that's a big
Coolers.
thing, keeping track of those. And then if you're playing Gogeta, for example, just like, draw less, like as dumb as it sounds, like,
Yeah.
play your preparing to brawl guys less often so that you don't run into the issue of milling as much, right? Like
Yeah.
there's kind of two strategies when it comes to mill is like draw less so you don't deck out or draw as much as you can as fast as you can and kill them as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't really work out all that much because they're a very defensive deck. So like if the faster you go, the more they might be able to react. But yeah, just watch out for how much you're drawing.
Yeah, and of course, go check out Trey's deck profile on it. He definitely knows more about it than we do.
Yep.
So we'll just jump to the next one.
All right. What does Multicolor need to become relevant again? Give us back Violent Rush Bojack, and that's it. Game over.
No.
I don't know, man. It's really hard when like you have to balance multicolor cards by giving them energy exhaust and one energy 10k combos. They've been doing a little bit less of that lately, giving more of them like 5k combos for free if your leader's a certain color or whatever. But yeah, they're always going to be a bit slower. So I don't know. Maybe they could experiment with taking off the one energy 10k aspect of it, but then maybe they just become better. I mean, if they still had energy exhaust, they would still be kind of a bit behind. But I don't know. At the end of the day, it all just becomes it's all about the strength of what's printed on the card, less so than like is it a multicolor or not a multicolor card. So if they wanted to print a 5-drop multicolor that said when you play this card win the game, the deck would probably be broken, right? So
Yeah.
it really just comes down to that.
So there's like two specific weaknesses to multicolor, like right off the bat. Energy exhaust being one, and the second one being you're gonna have a ton of 10Ks.
Right.
And if you're not blue, you're not gonna be able to combo very well.
Right. That's why blue's been the best combination of multicolor typically.
Yeah, exactly. I think they would have to like get rid of those weaknesses almost, like, or bypass them in some way, so, like ignore energy exhaust. Some of the leaders do that.
Right.
Or just make more 0.5Ks. They've tried it. It's almost not good enough. They haven't been printing very many multicolors too. So.
Yeah, it seems like with the whole archetype push, they've been just really going with monocolor decks because it's probably easier for them to design and stuff. Again, hopefully they kind of steer away towards that a little bit, but we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, efficiency is the name of the game, and multicolor is not very efficient right now, unfortunately. So, next one.
What are your thoughts on the DBS superhero movie? What was some of your favorite parts? What do you think of the implementation of the art from the movie to the card game? So me and Danny actually saw it together when it released on another time I was visiting him, and we both really liked it. It was fun. I mean, you don't go to a Dragon Ball movie like for the plot, right? You typically go there for the battles. It was cool though, like, to see Piccolo and Gohan kind of like level up again. And I think at this point we're kind of okay with spoilers. Like it's been however many months, but yeah, the movie was cool. The trailers for the art looked really bad. I think we both didn't like it, as did a lot of people. But once you actually go see it in the theater, it's a lot better. But I will say, transitioning that art to the card game, I didn't love. Like a lot of the superhero cards, I don't love the way they look. especially because most of them they're just standing there like doing a very simple like basic pose. So I wish they got a little bit more dynamic with the poses. Like Goku Vegeta Immortal Rivalry, that card looks really nice. But besides that, a lot of them are just them standing there. Yeah,
I thought it had a slightly better story. You know,
it was not bad.
You were feeling for my boy Gamma 2.
Yeah, the Gammas are awesome.
I liked it a lot. So yeah.
All right, Jason asks, how can Bandai effectively elevate green while keeping it balanced with the other colors? As a green main, I'm tired of Bandai letting the interns design our gimmick color. That's another running inside joke from a long time ago. But yeah, so with green, I think that as of late, they really have turned it into the gimmick color. Like Extra Card Broly, I think it was set 15, Goku and Vegeta. Those two decks were super, super gimmicky. Most green decks have been really gimmicky, and I don't know why they dedicated green to be that. I think if green wants to have a competitive deck, I think what they should do is like give them a little bit of hand poke, but don't make it like Cell Surge. Like that was just degenerate, unfair, unfun. But if you give them an effect that lets them take like one card per turn, like something like that, that's still annoying. That's still pressure on the hand, but it's not degenerate. Like I can still play the game. And I can play Deborah if I want. Like I think Android 16 is pretty good at that. I think that Green Cooler is okay at that. They can typically poke one card per turn. And those have been like generally pretty successful green decks, so I'd like to see that more with green.
I really think green actually just needs a leader that draws 2 per turn. Unfortunately,
yeah.
It could have a small package, archetype package that some like I'm not gonna say Gogeta because that draws way too much, but just like something a little extra. You know what I mean? Because drawing 1 is not enough nowadays.
Yeah, and that gets into a more general conversation. We actually talked about this on the podcast from a week or two ago with some of the other teammates where a sign of a good leader is drawing 2 cards per turn. If you only draw 1 card per turn, odds are you're probably not that great unless you have other means of making up that advantage.
Yeah, the Fate of Rival package very strong in my opinion.
Yeah,
but the green leaders just don't draw enough. The only one that was successful is Gotenks, and it does draw extra.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So yeah. All right, next question.
All right, Novin asks, what does each color need, or what would you like to see for each color in the new year? So we just got done talking about green a little bit. I mean, my main thing would be just, more equivalency in the Z deck, like getting green, yellow, and black, especially black. Black's Z deck is really, really bad, but getting those colors some more good Z deck support and more ways to generate Z energy without going completely minus. I love the idea of the Zenkai block where it's meant to support legacy decks, but besides like set 2 Vegito and like some other niche things from Anniversary Box, we haven't really seen that super effectively. Like they've been pumping out a lot of support for like SS4 Goku, for example, and a lot of it's just fallen flat. So I would love for them to do more of that. Again, keep it balanced, of course. We don't want to see anything crazy OP. I think set 2 Vegito is a really great example of how they can do more support like that. That's why I would like to see more legacy support.
Yeah, they actually did a great job with Vegito. It actually performed at Nationals. It might be one of the first in a while that we've seen that they've give like legacy support and it actually worked and made the deck strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, and the final question. The username is a mistake, by the way. That's perfect. What is the optimal sandwich? Preferred meats, cheese, and bread. Okay, so my answer is immediate because I live in New Jersey in a town full of Italians. So Hackensack, New Jersey, Clemente's Bakery, ciabatta bread, turkey, cheddar cheese, and this tomato avocado salad they make right on top. A little bit of balsamic vinegar. Best sandwich you ever have, I promise you.
So mine is like a little more basic. I dig I dig a honey ham and pepper jack cheese with mayo and lettuce. Like that's like totally fine for me. I actually ate that for lunch a lot when I was younger. Or steak and cheese. I really like steak and cheese.
That's funny too. People in Massachusetts call it a steak and cheese. Everyone else in the world, I'm pretty sure, calls it a cheesesteak. So, but yeah, that's it from us, guys. This is actually a really fun video to do. So maybe we'll do this more often. But yeah, if you have any more questions, any more comments, any concerns, drop them down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Merry Christmas.